Survivor Island of the Idols premiered on September 25, 2019. The cast featured 20 new castaways, and the first cast to be assembled by Survivor's current casting team, as Lynn Spillman had been fired following Edge of Extinction. The twist of the season was that two legendary Survivor figures and Rob and Sandra would live on their own island, hence the name of the season, Island of the Idols. In pretty much every episode, a castaway would be sent to Island of the Idols to be given a lesson of some sort, and the two would also give some pointers to help that person's game. And they would also sit in on tribal council, which honestly was the best part of the two being on the season. Anyway, the premiere starts off with no marooning, leaving the contestants confused, but when they see the name of the season, they figure there's probably idols all over the place. At Lyro, we see the women bond and form a women's alliance. Unfortunately for Elaine though, she ends up with a pretty big target on her back the first couple days, as her, Vince, and Tom make the ever so classic mistake of leaving the group for too long. And in general, Ronnie saw her as a massive jury threat at the end. On Vokai, Janet immediately took the older weak woman target off her back as she started the tribe's fire. We also saw Dan get a little too touchy with Kelly, but luckily, the two were able to smooth things over. Man, if only this was the worst this got all season. Gameplay wise, Tommy bonds with many players given he's a 4th grade teacher, while Jason put a target square on his back searching for an idol on day 1. At the immediate challenge, Vokai would come out on top as Lyro fell apart at the puzzle. But before going back to camp, the tribe would draw a name, and the person picked would go to the Island of the Idols. Elizabeth's name would end up being the one drawn, and is obviously surprised to meet Sandra and Rob on the island. The two teach her how to make fire, and then offer her a chance for a immunity idol for the next two tribals if she's able to beat Rob in a fire making challenge, to which she accepted, an obvious mistake as Rob completely destroyed her, thus she would lose her vote at tonight's tribal. And speaking of tribal, the majority alliance narrowed down their targets to Elaine and Vince as the weakest links. Elaine threw out Ronnie's name, feeling like he was too schemish, and at tribal, everyone other than Aaron goes along with Elaine's plan, blindsiding Ronnie in a satisfying 8-2 vote.
Ronnie, the tribe has spoken.
We start off episode 2 with the aftermath of Tribal, with Aaron feeling completely on the outs. Chelsea would then stumble across an idol while gathering firewood. On Vokai, Nora's odd behavior made her an easy split vote target along with Jason, with both of them realizing they are indeed on the bottom of the tribe. However, at the top of the tribe were Molly, Jack, and Jamal, who were deemed the cool kids. A boat would then come to pick up Kelly to take her to IOI, as Elizabeth drew her name from the last visit. Upon arrival, Rob and Sandra told her a little bit about themselves, and this would go on to be Kelly's social test, as if she were to answer 3 of the 5 questions correctly about the two, she would earn an idol good for the next 3 tribal councils she attended. Kelly aced the test and proceeded to hide her idol in her hair, which was pretty genius. At the immediate challenge, Lyra rebounded, sending Vokai to their first tribal. The vote seemed like an easy split vote between Jason and Nora, so easy in fact, that Jamal fell asleep in the middle of the day. However, the other members of Vokai debated on whether it'd be better to take out Molly, as not only could she be a massive threat down the road, but she was the glue holding Jack and Jamal together. And at tribal, Jack and Jamal were completely blindsided, as the tribe took out Molly in a 7-2-1 vote.
Molly, the tribe has spoken.
We start off episode 3 with the fallout of Vokai's first tribal council, and Jack and Jamal quickly try to integrate themselves back into the majority, but this hard play, especially by Jamal, makes the tribe even more wary. Speaking of wary, the men of Lyra became increasingly worried that the women did indeed have an alliance, and attempted to align together to combat this. Unfortunately for them, Vince was also aligned to the women's alliance. A boat then came up to pick up Vince to take him to IOI, and after he left, Dee made a suggestion to the rest of the tribe.
Say he comes back tomorrow and we think he has one. So then we just split the vote.
Everyone else is here.
Huh? Huh? Split the vote. And that's a smart thing to do in front of everyone, because if you're splitting the vote, one of those people is the one you're splitting against.
At IOI, Vince's challenge was to remain calm under pressure, and if he were to sneak into Vokai's camp and light a torch with their fire, he would receive an idol, to which he completed. At the immediate challenge, Lyra once again blew it at the puzzle portion of the challenge, sending them back to tribal, where the split vote was on Vince and Karishma, as her whiny personality was quickly making her an outcast. And at tribal, Vince unbelievably didn't play his idol good for only 2 tribals, and was sent home in a 5-3-1 vote.
Vince, the tribe has spoken.
We start off episode 4 with a really random scene of Aaron and Missy getting concerned over Chelsea and Dean having a possible showmance. At Vokai, knowing he was on the outs, Jamal found an idol while everyone else was occupied. Vokai was then given a decision on unanimously picking someone to go to IOI, and they agreed on Nora after she volunteered. Rob and Sandra tempted Nora with a block of vote advantage if she were to persuade her team into making her the caller at the next media challenge, but back at camp, Nora's persuasion didn't exactly go over well with the tribe, to where she in fact was forced to sit out the next media challenge, losing her vote at the next tribal. This decision from Vokai proved to be the right one, as they won their 3rd immunity challenge. The vote for Lyra should have been an easy one: vote out Karishma, and keep your tribe strong and loyal heading into a tribe swap. Unfortunately, Missy and Aaron got the classic case of big movitis, and wanted to break up the quote showmance in Dean and Chelsea. Aaron wanted Dean, but with the tribe not wanting to lose a shield this early, Missy convinced everyone to blindside Chelsea instead. And at Tribal, in one of the most confusing moves ever, Chelsea is blindsided in a 6-2 vote. This not only pissed Dean off, but kept Hiroshima in the game, who was all but guaranteed to flip at the tribe swap. But hey, hashtag big moves.
Chelsea, tribe has spoken.
Episode 5 now, and the 2 tribes swap and the 2 new tribes, with Vokai having the 5-3 numbers advantage on the new Vokai, and the numbers were even on the new Lyro. The 2 tribes then competed in their first Strictly Reward challenge of the season, to which Vokai won, earning themselves an Applebee's feast, much to the pleasure of Karishma.
I love Applebee's. Applebee's is by far my favorite sit-down restaurant. Oh my god, yes.
Speaking of Karishma, as expected, she flipped to the old Vokai right away, leaving Tom and Dean on the outs. At Lyro, both sides desperately try to find a crack or someone willing to flip. Unfortunately for the viewers at home, we didn't get a chance to see the split tribal council, as Lyro 2.0 won, sending Vokai 2.0 to tribal, where again, the vote was obviously between Tom and Dean. And with Dean being stronger, combined with the fact that Tom seemed to have more connections on Lyro, he was voted out in a 6-2 vote.
Tom, tribe has spoken.
Despite being completely on the outs, Nora pitched to Dean the idea of blindsiding Jamal or Jack, while at Lyro, it became apparent to Aaron that the Vokai were incredibly tight, and wanting to save himself, he told them that he was ready to flip. At the reward challenge, Vokai owned their second straight challenge, while Elaine was sent to the IOI since she sat out of the challenge. Elaine quickly accepted Robin Sandra's challenge of having her retrieve a block of vote advantage during the immunity challenge. And at the immunity challenge, Elaine found the block of vote advantage despite her clumsiness, and Dean used his basketball skills to save himself, winning Vokai immunity. With the Vokai 4 being so tight, Aaron and Missy both appeared to accept their fate, and voted Elaine to fight another day. However, things took a massive turn for OG Lyro when Elaine revealed her block of vote advantage, which obviously would give Lyro the numbers. But despite this, Aaron still thought about flipping to Vokai's side, as that might be better for his long-term game. At Tribal, Elaine shocked Vokai when she revealed her block of vote advantage, and not only did she use her advantage on Jason, but that's who the Lyro's target was as well, with Aaron sticking with the OG Lyro, and thus, Jason was sent home in a 4-3 vote, with literally nothing he could do about it.
6th person voted out of Survivor, Island of the Idols.
Jason. Jason, tribe has spoken.
Episode 7 now, the final episode of the pre-merge, and boy is it a good one. And knowing what comes after this, we better savor it. The old Vokai now all obviously felt in danger, being in the minority, with Lauren and Tommy turning on Dan to save themselves. Unfortunately for the two, Lyro saw right through this, and they became the main targets over Dan instead. At Vokai 2.0, Janet was selected to go to IOI, and for the first time all season, a player rejects Robin Sandra's offer, as she's afraid an advantage would make her an even bigger target down the line. At the immunity challenge, Tommy and Lauren would be saved, as Lyro won immunity, sending Vokai to tribal, where Dean looked all but done for. But this is Survivor after all, it can't be that easy. Nora was still trying her best to break up Jamal and Jack, but Kelly realized on the spot a much easier way to break up the two. Since she knew Dean from outside the game, she figured he could be a number for her down the road, so she secretly handed her idol off to Dean, and Dean shocked everyone with Kelly's idol at tribal, neglecting the majority 5 votes. Jamal also played his idol, not for himself, but for Nora, as he felt that's who Dean would vote for. But ironically, Nora and Dean used their 2 votes to blindside Jamal's closest ally and Jack, in an insane vote to end the pre-merge.
Jack, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 8 starts off with Kelly finding the re-hidden idol Dean played just in time for the merge. The 13 players then celebrated making the merge with the obligatory merge feast. However, unfortunately the women all got together and realized that they had all been feeling uncomfortable around Dan, which led to production breaking the 4th wall to get involved, and the viewers are then shown that the producers met with each player individually to talk about the situation. A truly shocking and low point in Survivor history.
It's like, no, he literally has done these things to 5 different women in this game. That sucks.
No, if there are issues to the point where things need to happen, come to me and I will make sure that stops.
Okay.
Anyway, the targets at the merge are mainly Kelly and Missy for being the hardest players on their respective tribes. However, Tommy wanted the two to align with each other and create a majority alliance with Lyro 2.0. But when Kelly expressed her concern about Missy, Lauren told Missy that Kelly was throwing her name around, causing Missy to believe that Kelly had been lying about her accusations of Dan in order to build trust with her. And Missy even instructed her ally Elizabeth to lie about her feelings towards Dan in order to make Kelly feel even more secure. At the immunity challenge, Aaron won the first individual immunity challenge of the season. Despite Kelly wanting Missy out, she agreed to target Dan for the sake of all the women. But wanting that extra security, she found the merge idol, meaning she now had 2 idols in her pocket. But unfortunately, Tribal, putting faith into everyone that they would do the right thing, backfired, and she was blindsided by the majority in an 8-5 vote, leaving with those 2 idols in her pocket.
Yeah. about that torch down.
Kelly, the tribe has spoken.
We see the fallout from this tribal as Janet confronts Elizabeth and Missy about what they said about Dan, but this makes Janet even more of an outcast, as even though she was the one doing the right thing, everyone took this as she was the one who made up stories about Dan in order to make him an easy target. God, this season is so gross. But thankfully for Janet, she was able to find an idol. Unfortunately for Jamal though, who was on Janet's side in this debacle, he lost his vote at the next tribal for snatching up a piece of paper, because as Rob and Sandra put it, you shouldn't just go for any advantage. I'm not making this up.
No, there is no free lunches on Survivor, right?
I'm learning that lesson.
You have to earn everything.
Yeah.
Your lesson was in the art of sabotage.
However, Jamal was allowed to sabotage a player and gave Dean a fake legacy advantage, but this put an even bigger target on Jamal instead. At the immunity challenge, both the man and woman would win immunity, with Misty winning for the women and Aaron winning a second straight immunity for the men. At Tribal, things got even more ugly as Janet continued to be targeted for what she said regarding Dan, and had no choice but to play her idol, neglecting 2 votes. But in the end, Jamal was seen as too big of a threat, and was taken out in a 6-3 vote.
Jamal, the tribe has spoken.
After arguably the worst episode in Survivor history, episode 9 starts off on a better note, as Queen Karishma found an idol. The 11 contestants are then surprised by a twist, where they will be split up into 2 teams, and 1 player from each team would win immunity, as both teams were going to tribal to vote somebody out. Nora won on the purple side, while Elaine won immunity for the orange. On purple, the vote was between Janet, who was on the bottom, and Aaron, who had proven to be a challenge beast, and there might not be a better time to take him out. Despite Dan and Dean discussing the possibility of keeping a massive target and Aaron around, they simply couldn't pass up this golden opportunity to take him out, and thus, Aaron is blindsided in a 5-1 vote.
Aaron, the tribe has spoken.
On the Orange tribe, Tommy looked all but done for, as not only was he in a tribe of all girls, but he was the only original vote guy as well. However, Elaine immediately said she was with him, making Karishma the swing vote, and after being intimidated by Missy, Karishma joined forces with Tommy and Elaine, voting out Missy in a 3-2 vote.
11th person voted out, and the 5th member of our jury. Missy.
Yo, who did it?
Came after me.
I didn't come after you. All right, Jeff, come on, man.
Missy,
Jeff!
the tribe has spoken.
Ah! Go ahead, bro.
Episode 10 now, and just like that, we're down to 9 players. Knowing the endgame was coming, Dean was scared of a GOAT alliance, and in fact made his own separate alliance that consisted of the bigger threats in the game. He also made his own fake legacy advantage, and would play tonight to take the target off his back, but would still keep Jamal's legacy advantage for himself, as he actually did believe it was real. Lauren then volunteered to go to IOI, where she was informed that if she were to predict the winner of the next immunity challenge, she would earn an idol, and she ended up picking Nora. To make things easier, she was told that the contestants would have the choice to set up her food, and when she returned to camp, she and Tommy put the thought of delicious food into everyone's head. At the immunity challenge, this strategy paid off, as only Nora, Elizabeth, and Karishma competed for immunity, and just like Lauren predicted, Nora won immunity, her second straight. The contestant's target going to tribal was Karishma, as she was in nobody's alliance, and her whiny attitude had been annoying people since the merge. Karishma desperately tried to get Elizabeth on her side, as if everyone voted for Karishma, their 2 votes could take out whoever they wanted. At Tribal, Dean played his fake legacy advantage. Karishma shocked everyone when she played her idol, neglecting 7 votes, and Lauren played her idol afterwards. Karishma put her vote on Janet, but thankfully, Dan put a vote on Elizabeth just in case, and this saved Janet, as Elizabeth was voted out unanimously on the revote.
Elizabeth, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 11 begins with the family visit, and the 8 players are split into 4 pairs of 2, with the winning pair getting to spend the day with their loved ones. The unlikely pair of Janet and Tommy won the challenge, and chose Lauren and Dan and their family members to join them on reward. The 4 then agreed to an alliance, but back at camp, the 4 who weren't chosen also agreed to an alliance, and felt that Lauren was the biggest overall threat in the game. The 4 then went on an idol hunt, with Elaine finding the idol in front of everyone. At the immunity challenge, the plan to blindside Lauren went out the window, as she won her first immunity, so the new target for the 4 not chosen became Lauren's closest ally in Tommy, and when they realized it was likely going to be a split vote, the 4 realized they had the majority to blindside him. However, at Tribal Council, Dean, wanting to work with the bigger threats, told Tommy of the outsiders' plan to blindside him, causing a live tribal. In the end, Elaine ended up playing her idol out of paranoia, and knowing their plan was up in smoke, the minority alliance turned on each other, and ultimately, Karishma received the majority votes, sending her to the jury in a 5-3 vote.
Karishma, the tribe has spoken.
After a chaotic tribal, Nora was furious at Dean for blowing up their plans, hiding his shoes in revenge. After Elaine played her idol, a new idol hunt began, to which Janet found, and she told Tommy, but Dean caught Janet red-handed. After Dean was selected by a random draw to go to IOI, he won an idol nullifier. On a freaking coin flip, Seriously, what exactly was the lesson here again? Dean continued his resurgence, winning his first immunity, just edging out Elaine, who knew she desperately needed the win. The vote here was pretty foreshown, as Elaine was a clear jury threat and needed to be taken out, with Nora as a split vote name. At Tribal, Elaine opened up about her past and experience on Survivor, and in the end, she was taken out in a 5-2 vote to the hero music.
This is horrible.
Elaine, the tribe has spoken.
The episode ends with Jeff surprising everyone at camp, explaining to the 5 remaining players that Dan had been removed from the game.
Need to share some news.
Good news, bad news, what?
Oh, where's Dan?
So I just spoke privately with Dan. A decision has been made, and Dan will not be returning to the game. He won't be on the jury. He's gone.
It's the finale now, and to be honest, more people were interested in the Winners at War promo as opposed to the actual finale. But hey, we've made it this far, might as well talk about it, as it is actually a fairly entertaining episode. It starts off with the final 5 going to the IOI for the final time. After there was no test, Tommy realized that there was likely one more idol hidden at the IOI, but due to Tommy being colorblind, this made it hard for him to search, so he asked Dean for assistance, who of course would go on to find the idol for himself. He then added to his resume by winning the final 5 immunity challenge, basically putting all the power in his hands. Janet was a clear jury threat for the other 4, especially considering she was almost guaranteed to make it to the final 3, whether that be through winning immunity or winning the fire making challenge. And unfortunately at Tribal, Janet's almost guaranteed win was literally nullified, as Dean played his idol nullifier on Janet's idol, sending her home in a unanimous 4-1 vote.
Janet, the tribe has spoken.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the final immunity challenge now, and Nora would guarantee herself a spot in the final 3 by winning her 3rd immunity of the season. Tommy lied to Nora about his inability to make fire, when in reality, he knew he was great at making fire. Nora then told Dean and Lauren that they were going to fire, and Tommy gave Dean some tips on how to make fire, wanting Lauren gone, as despite the two being close allies all game, Tommy knew that she was his biggest competition, but didn't want to take her out personally. Another underrated move from one of Survivor's most underrated winners, and at the fire making challenge, Dean beat Lauren, making her the 10th and final member of the jury.
There it is. Dean has done it. Dean has made fire.
I was close.
We'll take the final spot at the final 3.
Oh, Jeff.
Lauren, the tribe has spoken.
It's the final 3 now, and with Nora obviously being seen as a chaotic goat, the vote was between Dean and Tommy, two polar opposites, as Tommy played an underrated social game, while Dean was all about the big moves, and really turned up his game at the end game, which is often the most important part of Survivor. However, his messy gameplay and his multiple final 2 deals that he didn't own up to was called out, while Tommy explained his game thoroughly to the jury. And 6 months later, in front of a taped studio audience, Tommy was crowned the winner of Survivor Island of the Idols, beating Dean and Nora in an 8-2-0 vote.
The winner of Survivor, Tommy.
Thank you guys so much for watching this retrospective of Survivor Island of the Idols, as I'm sure this was tough to relive. Let me know in the comments if you indeed think this is the worst season of all time, and of course be sure to like and subscribe, and check out my previous installments of the series as well. With all that said, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.